Every die-hard Star Wars fan has heard of who shot first, Han or Greedo, or even other common debates like Palpatine let Mace Windu win, and is Yoda or Sidious more powerful during the prequels. Today I'll be discussing the 20 most famous of these and ranking them from most called for to most random. 20. AT-AT versus AT-AT. I have this at last place because it doesn't affect the story or anything of importance like that, and it's kind of not even worth debating over, considering that people in the Star Wars universe pronounce names differently anyway, like Lando Calrissian saying Han instead of Han. Also, AT-AT sounds better.
How could you even say that?
19. Is Han's parka blue or black in The Empire Strikes Back? So this is referring to Han's parka here, which is in actuality brown, but often has a blue tint over it, as The Empire Strikes Back often has a blue tint over it, and therefore appears to be blue quite often. Also, many action figures were created with the jacket being blue, as well as the LEGO Star Wars games, which just added to the confusion. 18. Holdo maneuver makes no sense. Many people had the question when The Last Jedi came out that if the Holdo maneuver is a real addition to the Star Wars canon, then how come they don't just always kamikaze capital ships into enemy fleets in the other movies? Well, it turns out that not only is this a rare move to see in World War II naval battles, as that's what Star Wars combat is primarily based off of, that being the space combat, but also the Republic was already overspending money on their army, and the Rebellion had a limited number of ships, so it turns out it makes quite a lot of sense that this maneuver wouldn't be used unless it was an absolute last resort, similar to the trench because he destroyed the dark side. More on that later. 16. Why didn't Obi-Wan go around the Electron Wall? So in The Phantom Menace, when Darth Maul separated Obi-Wan from Qui-Gon by kicking him down the Theed power generator, why doesn't Obi-Wan then use Force speed to catch up to the other two? Well, for one, Obi-Wan was already pretty drained at this point and probably hadn't quite refilled up his Force meter, and also he didn't want to go too far and end up falling down the reactor pit. And for Kenobi, that show why he didn't go around this laser wall here. I'm thinking they were trying to keep a low profile and didn't want the stormtroopers to go after them, so that's probably why. 15. The Last Jedi bombs their whole gravity situation. So in the Battle of D'Quar, some fans were angry that the Resistance bombers were able to drop bombs into space, as there should be no gravity there, but others have argued that the bombs would create their own force with no opposition. 14. Midichlorians. The midichlorians were introduced in The Phantom Menace, and many people found that they ruined the mysticism of the Force from the original trilogy, since it attempted to take a scientific look on things, but in my opinion, The Phantom Menace is simply trying to show us a sad attempt by sentients to grasp the reality of the Force, with it still being larger than they could imagine. 13. Is Sidious the Emperor/Palpatine? When the prequels were coming out, there were actually some people that thought Palpatine and Darth Sidious were two different people. So even though it was obvious that the Chancellor was the same person as the Emperor, they thought that still this hooded man who was the master of Darth Maul and the master of Darth Tyrannus was a separate entity from Palpatine and his rise to political Emperor of the galaxy. The only flaw with this logic is that the Emperor shoots Force lightning, so that doesn't make much sense, and also Revenge of the Sith confirmed Lord Sidious and the Emperor to be one and the same. 12. Most powerful character. Speaking of the Emperor, this question asks whether Yoda, Mace Windu, Darth Vader, or Darth Sidious is the most powerful in Star Wars. Well, Mace only beat Palpatine through his use of Vaapad, which is a lightsaber form dedicated to fighting Sith Lords that Mace Windu created, so that's off the table. Then Vader never reached his full potential, and with the other two, you could argue Palpatine is the most powerful character. I mean, he is the most powerful Sith ever in Star Wars. However, in my opinion, Nightfall Vader destroys them all, so I'd go with that if it was an option. See this augmented so that they both shoot, and Greedo shoots first, completely misses, and then dies. Well, he looked like a bum there, so then after that we got Greedo not missing, but rather Han elongated his neck and turned into Mr. Fantastic to move out of the way. Now, Disney Plus version we have now has Greedo saying McClunky beforehand, Han to be shown in this light, and that the good guy always fires second in self-defense, but many fans believe Han shooting first shows him as the anti-hero scoundrel he should be in order for his arc to fully work. I agree that this makes him more interesting if he starts out shady and becomes a rebellion general legend throughout the course of the trilogy. 10. Did Palpatine win? Did Palpatine let Mace Windu win so that he could turn Anakin more easily? No, George confirms Mace won here fair and square, and in universe it's because Mace Windu uses Vapod, which basically feels off of dark side opponents, which is why Mace defeated Palpatine, but would get destroyed by Yoda. So it makes sense this debate exists, but if you think about it for more than a second, you realize how obvious the right answer is. 9. Hayden Christensen, Force Ghost. Should Sebastian Shaw, the original actor who portrayed Anakin's Force Ghost in Return of the Jedi, and also played Vader when his mask is taken off, be replaced by Hayden from the prequels? Some don't like it because it is altering the original work and Anakin should be old here, but others love it because it ties the two trilogies perfectly together, and this was the last time we saw Anakin in the light side. I grew up with the prequels and love Hayden as Anakin, so I always have enjoyed this change, but it is an argument worth having as to whether it is disrespectful to the original character, to the original actor. But then again, Victory Celebration is way better than Ewok Celebration, that being the songs in the background you hear. 8. Rey, Reva, or May. This is a debate which asks which character is worse, Rey, Reva, or May Anastasia from the recent Disney Star Wars works. I'll leave that up to you. 7. Ewoks, cute or terrifying? While the Ewoks look like teddy bears, they are in fact vicious man-eating warriors. Then again, I've never heard someone say they were scared by the Ewoks before. Maybe before they could actually blink, that was a thing, but not as much now. 6. The Jedi are good guys. Even though the Acolyte and even the prequels hint at the idea that the Jedi are a corrupt and somewhat evil organization, this debate raises the idea that perhaps we should think of the Jedi as the guardians of peace and justice they were always meant to be, like in the original trilogy and Clone Wars. 5. Legends or expanded universe. Do you think of the canon of Star Wars in two different sanctioned forms, or as one expansive field that isn't always flawless in its continuity? Me personally, I don't care at all what the rules, quote unquote, that Disney has made for it. I'm not saying it's evil Disney, bad Disney. I'm just saying the Legends canon stuff, I use it in my videos, and obviously you kind of have to use it just to get around, navigate as to what you should and shouldn't read. But at the same time, I find the Legends Clone Wars stuff really interesting. And then again, I also love the Dave Filoni Clone Wars, so it's like, I don't know, I think you can have Labyrinth of Evil and also have stuff like Kenobi versus Vader in episode 6 of the Kenobi show, and like all of it at the same time. 4. Stormtrooper bad aim. Did Vader order the Stormtroopers to go miss against Luke, Han, and Leia so that they could track them back to the Rebel base, or are they really just bad at doing exactly what they trained their whole lives to do? We certainly know which one Disney thinks. 3. Best viewing order. What is the best way to all in all? 2. Yoda or Palpatine. Is Yoda or Palpatine more powerful? Well, I always took their fight as Yoda losing against Palpatine, since Yoda retreats and goes into exile, and he wouldn't have gone to stop Palpatine in the first place if he already knew the Sith was more powerful, but many people call this fight a draw since Palpatine was about to run away from Yoda at the beginning. 1. Balance to the Force. Some believe that true balance to the Force means destroying the Sith and leaving it in the light, and that once Anakin brought balance by destroying the Sith, that's where he actually was the chosen one, and he had to do that. But others believe that the chosen one actually has to balance the Force by making both sides equal, so therefore once Anakin first destroyed the Jedi and then destroyed the Sith, he had truly brought balance to the Force. But if in Revenge of the Sith he had killed Dooku and then flung Palpatine out of the invisible hand, this would have still been unbalanced, and the Sith would have just come back in another 1,000 years. Me personally, I kind of like the idea that you have to keep both sides down, but then again, with my religious beliefs and stuff, I do kind of believe more that there should be light without darkness, but it's definitely a good debate to have there, so I think it should come in at first place. But anyway, that's it for this video. You can subscribe if you want to. Also check out the merch, as we're about to do a new fall drop, which is going to be pretty dope, I think. Consider leaving a comment if you have any questions about this video or any video suggestions, or just want to tell me how you've been doing, I guess, recently. But anyway, I upload normal videos every Friday at 5 o'clock p.m., shorts every single day, polls every single day. Remember to always make healthy decisions over happy decisions. But yeah, see ya.